So I'll have the link for this in the description below. But in this video, what we're going to be doing is breaking down this chart here, explaining all the different features and functionality of these different tools. And then you can see what it's going to cost you on a monthly basis, depending on how many users you have. But I'll let you know right now, there are some tricky nuances because not all the tools price things the same way, and sometimes there's limits. So we're gonna explain that in this video, but by the end of this video, you will have a much better understanding of how to choose a project management software for your needs. And I'm also gonna give you a couple tips on how to get up and running much quicker when you're getting set up. So why don't we jump into the computer and see what we got here. All right, so you'll see the URL up here, and that is gonna be in the description below, but also there'll be a YouTube card that's gonna pop open that can take you to that calculator as well. So when you get there, the first thing you need to do, and this is really all the information that you have to input, is how many users do you have? It starts with 500, you probably don't have that many, but let's say that you have 10 for the sake of easy math. So what you can see here is these are listed in alphabetical order. And part of the reason that we decided to do a calculator on the website is that a lot of these tools, they change quite a bit. They change their pricing, they change their functions and features. There may be a new player in the market that's doing really well that we need to add to this. We may have one of these get sold and we subtract one of these, but this is going to be a living, breathing calculator that is going to be updated regularly so that you can stay up to date, because it's hard to do that via video because these videos become out of date quickly if you don't have a tool like this. Why don't we take a look at the actual calculator itself? What you need to do, the only thing on your end is you just need to implement how many users you have. So first pro tip on this is it's not how many employees that you have, and it's not even necessarily how many users need to access this, all right? So here's what I mean. Like, let's say we put in 10 users, and then you can see this is in alphabetical order, all right? But if it's $11 per month for Asana Premium, 11 times 10 equals $110 a month. So this left-hand column is what you can expect your monthly pricing to be. Now, the reason we did this calculator is we can update this as pricing gets updated, and you can see all these columns right here of different features and functionality. Those get changed as well, so we can update those in the future too. But the reason that I say the number of users isn't necessarily the amount of people that are using the tool. So if you take a look at Monday right here, and we'll use them for an example and a case study throughout this video, you can see that you get 3 free guest limit passes per month here. So that's on the Monday standard. So if you go into Monday right here, and you go up in the upper right-hand corner, you go to invite members, you can see that you have viewer read-only free. So let's say that you had, I don't know, 10 people on your team that you think need to use the tool. Well, 3 of them only need like a view only feature where they just want to be able to log in and see what's going on. Maybe it's like the CEO if they want to just take a look at things, but they're not actually going to be creating boards and projects and different things. That's a great way to save a few dollars per month by having that viewer read-only access. And a lot of these different tools allow that in here, where you can see Notion does it as well, and Jira, but some of them do not allow the free guest access. So what I want to do at this point is also make you aware of, on this page here is a lot of different information. So this right here is like a glossary of terms for all of these different columns that we're going to actually show you what these all mean, so you understand what these different columns of information mean. But then as you go down too, you can see a bunch of different information, including individual reviews of each service. Now, if I did a review in this video of every single one of these tools, the video would get quite long. So again, I want to be respectful of your time. But there's a lot of helpful information on this page that is going to help you make the right decision for you once you kind of figure out what your costs are going to be. So again, why don't we just stick with 10 so we don't look at those big scary numbers over here. And then why don't we get started looking at the different aspects of this. So storage limit in gigabytes. If there's no measurement here, you see a dash in any one of these, that means that there's an unlimited storage, okay? But then you can see some of them, it gets scaled up a little bit. So I could say like Monday right here, if you're doing it for video editing and you're actually loading in video files, I wouldn't recommend Monday for a tool like that. But most people, like, 520 gigs of storage is going to be more than you need. But just understand, if you are doing something with heavy amounts of storage, that'll be something that impacts your decision. Now, seat limit. This one's kind of interesting. Jira, you can see that they go really high with seat limit, which really doesn't matter. I mean, that's just the ability of how much they're willing to charge you. So like, the interesting thing here though, is there is a seat limit on some of these. So like, let's take a look at SmartSheet Pro, 20 seat limit. So what you'll see is when we go to 21, the pricing for the monthly cost goes to NA. And the reason for that is you can't have a 21 seat user or account on that service. But SmartSheet Business, you can, and that's what your monthly price is going to be. So again, seat limit, I guess technically we can only go up to 1,000, so you won't even see it if you did 35,000 for Jira. But just know that there are seat limits, and if there's just a dash again, there is no seat limit. We already talked about the free guest limit pass. So what I want to do now is talk about forms. So I'm going to take you inside of Monday. I do like Monday in terms of the visual aspect of the product. So this is really important and worth mentioning. The best tool is the one that's going to get adopted by your team. So these different products and different tools, a lot of them have like a different position that they try to go into. So for example, like this is Jira, which is made by, I think I'm saying this right, Atlassian. I don't know how to say it. But you see stuff like Scrum, all right? So that's like development. Their software is more geared towards development projects where other services have their own kind of niche. And again, you can find that information on the blog post itself. But going back to this, we want to talk about forms and what are they. So in here, we have this kind of mock project management setup, first board here, but when you click Add View, what you can find here is a form. Now, the reason that this is helpful is when you're creating a form, maybe you've done this on Google Forms before, is you can do different things like, let's say you have an employee suggestion box, and of course, like who wants to fill out pen and paper and organize all that now? Well, you could do a suggestion box, and then create a description for it. It's required, and then you can change this form so that it's going to have whatever questions you want to have on here, and you can delete things out and move things around. But what ends up happening with that is it'll populate the information and put it immediately into a board that the form is going to collect the data. So it makes it really easy to collect information, whether it be from your own employees, from customers, feedback, whatever it may be, and you can embed those forms onto your actual website. So that's what we're looking at when you're talking about forms. Now, templates. This one's really huge. The only one that doesn't have it is Wrike Team, but I want to go over this because this is such a benefit for you when you're trying to get set up and started. So what you can do over here is inside of Monday, they have these workspaces. So why don't we add a new board, all right? But instead of going new board, we're going to choose from templates. So all these different services have templates. And again, this is what I would recommend starting with because it gives you a place to start and look at and say, you know what, that's pretty darn close to what we want to do. So why don't we say that we are looking in the left-hand side here is that you're a design company, right? And you are doing client campaigns for agencies, all right? Very specific, use template. So maybe you are a designer, you have a small team, but you also work with marketing agencies. What this is doing is creating a template for you so that you can get started with that. The cool thing about the templates in the different products and services that we have here is that you can do a lot of different things with their dashboards as well. And see, you can look at leads view, so you can see leads that are coming in, sales qualified, marketing qualified, and then you can get an idea of like, all right, you know what? I don't really care about, their title. You can just delete that out. And it makes it so that you can get up to speed much quicker with these templates. So whichever service and tool that you end up going with, I would highly suggest using templates. All right, timeline view. So again, here you can see that some of these don't have it and others do. Well, what is the timeline view? So in Monday, you can click the add view button here, and then we're gonna go to more views, and then we're gonna look at open timeline view, open in the board. So what you're gonna immediately have is this left to right kind of calendar timeline view where you can see, all right, GAL, client directory board, marketing qualified leads. We also have Lorenzo that came in on the 22nd as well, and it's an opportunity, the priority is high. So this can be helpful for anybody who prefers to look at things in this particular fashion. Probably one of my favorite views if you're doing project management is the Gantt view. So we'll go up here again, and then we just click on Gantt. And here you can see like, all right, the market analysis needs to be done, then video production, then campaign management, then create a website, and then design logos. So this makes it really easy, especially for somebody like me that's very visual, to be able to see like, what do those views look like? And the nice thing is if you want to just reduce it, or you're like, you know what, really, we're going to need more time, because this is how it usually goes, right? It always takes a little bit longer than what you think it's going to be. But by using a project management tool, you can start to get data and actually be able to look backwards and say, you know what, this is what we thought it was going to be. And then this is where the bottleneck was this project right here. And you can make notes and be able to update those things in live time. All right. right, calendar view. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this one because you can see where this is going. But again, you would just click the plus sign here and calendar. So then anybody who likes this kind of view in a calendar format can quickly see when are the due dates on these different projects. Now, you might be wondering like, well, what's with the colors? That is just simply an analysis. So it's like in this particular case, working on it, stuck, done. These are really, really helpful because if you have this set up, you can quickly see what people are stuck on. So if you can build a culture around your project management where you encourage people to say, hey, I'm having issues, I'm stuck, what you can quickly do is be able to see everything in one view and see where these bottlenecks are occurring. Because if you can remove the bottlenecks, then everything goes so much smoother. All right, let's take a look at chart view. So this is only available on Monday's Pro plan, but we should be able to see this. Let's take a look at chart. So right now, what I want you to be aware of is that when you apply a filter, it's going to stay on. So what we're gonna do here is clear all up here. And then what you'll be able to see is what's done and stuck. So pretty simple chart here. Why don't we take a look at this client directory one, just to get an idea what the chart looks like on this one. So here you can see, sales qualified, marketing leads. So you can get a pretty good idea of a funnel in this particular case because this is measuring the funnel itself. But just an interesting view depending on what you're looking to do with your project management software. All right, list view, probably my favorite and most used one, which is kind of funny. Somebody on my team, she hates list view. I love list view. Many times this is actually going to be the standard view, okay? So in this particular case, main table, if you're to do a table, this is a list view where you're having everything going in a descending order like this in a list. So it was kind of weird when I said list. I feel like I had a lisp when I said it. But formula column. So with formulas, it's very similar to like Google Sheets, Excel, where you'll be able to actually have formulas that are put into the column. So let's see if we can figure out one of these here. So let's say we wanted to take an idea of what their credit limit was with their remaining balance. I don't think you'd actually want to do this, but I just want to do this for example purposes. What you can do is credit limit, and then I'm going to say minus remaining balance, and then set formula. So here you can see 7,000, 7,000. That's because it took the credit limits and it just happened to work out that the difference between all these was 7,000. So formulas is more like intermediate to expert. It's not something you typically get into on a beginner level, but it's going to help you dial things in so much as you get going because there's always going to be needs where you want to get things a little bit more dialed in. All right, we just have two left here. Dependency columns. So we started talking about this a little bit with the Gantt view. All right, so it's like, well, this thing needs to happen for this thing to get started, but you can actually make those dialed in. So why don't we take a look at campaign timeline for this and click save. So now you can actually see this down here. And again, you can customize all these columns. Like you can drag them to make them a little bit more open, but you can see what things are dependent on other things. And what this is going to do is again, help you identify the bottlenecks, because if it turns out that you have one person or one project that so many other things are dependent on, and that is the thing that's holding up all the projects, you're gonna be able to identify it with dependencies. So a good chunk of these tools have time tracking put in. Again, I'm just gonna show you what this looks like in this tool right here. So what I'm gonna do is go to more columns, and then I'm gonna do a search of time, and we're looking for time tracking, add to board. So now you can see these little play buttons. This is where you have to have obviously your employees working on this, but if you're somebody who's charging an hourly rate, this is huge because not only will you be able to charge the client very efficiently, but you're gonna be able to show them specifically down to the minute where the time was spent. And that's gonna make the client feel more confident with you. So what you have to do is just kind of train people to say, okay, I'm working on that new vegan ice cream flavor rebrand campaign, and you're just gonna click play. So immediately you can see this is starting to add up the time. And then you can also put in things like budget or the hourly rate, and you can have formulas, as we were talking about before, where it automatically is multiplying the time spent times your hourly rate, and you can have all of this worked up into a dashboard and including sending invoices to the clients. So absolutely, when you're using project management tools, there's a learning curve to everything, okay? But what I would recommend, no matter what tool you end up going with, is to start with a template, work from there, get familiar with a template that is in your niche or your field, and then start to dial in the template for your needs. And then eventually you'll probably start creating some from scratch. A couple other quick things I want to familiarize you with is most of the tools will have like a home feature. So this is kind of like whatever you want this to be. You can change these and be able to adjust what you're looking at on your homepage. But my work is a really important one. This is where when things get assigned to you, it's going to show up here. And then you can also start to customize this based on, what is the priority, what's the due date, those kind of things. So you can cleanly see a list of things that are to-dos for you in your position specifically. With project management, it's always about assigning the task and putting a due date on it, because that's what's going to make this populate. But also, if there's not a clear understanding of whose duty it is, that's where projects typically fall apart. Another thing I want to make you aware of are the apps. Most of these tools have additional apps that can integrate with the actual project management software itself. So if there's tools you're already using, like let's say, marketing, all right? What do we have here? Well, there's all sorts of different marketing tools that you can add in here, like buzz count for YouTube. I should probably learn what that is, how to track all your YouTube data in one place. I'm pretty interested in that. But just know that there's always different apps that can be added as well. Again, you will find a link in the description below for this calculator. And on the screen here, you're gonna see a detailed walkthrough of Monday.com, which is gonna go much more into the weeds than we just went through in this video of showing you how the tool actually works and operates to make your business run efficiently. I'll catch you in the next video.